and welcome back to part 3 and the final part of Colour It My Way with Tonja. And today we're going to finish this image, and I hope that you enjoy the video. Please leave me lots of comments and let me know if you've enjoyed this process. So I've finished the whole background using this acrylic paint. It's the Americana Deco Art Soft Sage. Applying it as I did at the top. And now I've decided for the wings, I want them to sort of look translucent. So I'm going to do the same as I've done for the background on the wings, but I'm going to just add a little squirt of white acrylic paint. It's a different make, unfortunately, but I don't think it matters too much. It's been a while since I used it. All these pieces there. Ugh. Very messy. So I'm just going to add a little bit here, and then I'll mix them together as needed. So I'm just taking a bit of the white into the sage here. I just want it to look more pastel. It's already a very pastel color, but just says that it gives the impression of the wings being translucent. And I'm just adding, dipping my brush in water and adding a little bit of water to this to make it a bit thinner because it's quite thick. And then I'm going to apply this to the wings. And as you can see, it's almost the same color, but it's just slightly more pale. And I'm going to be going over the outside of the wings with white, I think, and some glitter. So by the outside of the wings, I mean the edges of the wings. I find with this acrylic paint, when you go over the lines, if you just use your finger to wipe it off while it's still wet, it comes off quite quickly, which helps. So I'm wanting to do not quite my kind of, my version of a bokeh effect, bokeh, B-O-K-E-H, bokeh effect on the green in the background. This all has to dry, and I'll show you how I do a sort of bokeh effect as well, and we'll do all the finishing touches as soon as all of this has dried. We've been having such a rainy spell. Gosh, it's been pouring and the wind has been howling. I've been getting quite nervous because in our backyard, our neighbors have a tree that is growing and it looks like it might blow over, and it would actually blow into our kitchen and could actually kill one of us. So we're going to have to do something about it, but it's in the neighbor's yard. So I need to go and speak to them about are they willing for us to have it chopped down or to perhaps help us do it or something. So in a way, that's looking a little bit dark for me. I'm thinking of just going over it with some watered down, making a bit of a wash with this white here. Going over it with that so it's even more pastel paler. I hope this is going to work. I've never really managed to get the effect that I see in my head of translucent wings before. So I thought I'd give this a try, and I hope it's going to work. I always enjoy working with a paintbrush, and these, excuse me, in my last haul, which was ages ago because I haven't been getting anything. I'm trying to use more of what I have. But in my last haul, I had bought these very fine tipped paint brushes, and this is one of them. And it actually is working quite nicely. So now I'm going to let that dry and then we'll do the finishing touches. Well, now we're reaching the end of this picture and I'm trying to decide a few things. First thing I'm going to do, I was trying to decide whether I want to go over this in gold watercolor or white Posca. So here's my gold watercolor, which I'm going to, I had thought the pale champagne or the light gold. So I'm just going to spray all of those and let them get wet. And then I think for the bird I've decided to do white Posca. I always find this quite tricky, these final touches, what to do. So let me see, I've got two brushes here. I have this very fine 0 of the fine brushes that I'd bought, and then I have a 20-0 Princeton Velvet Touch liner, which is even more finer. So I'm just activating this water. This is watercolor, the Gansai Tambi Starry colors. I will list them below. I've had these bought them when I was in Germany, and that was in 2018, so that's how long I've had them. So, and I've used them quite a lot, so as you can see, they're very long lasting. Always find these kind of things a bit nerve-wracking. So I want to cover the black line mostly. I think I must put it. And doing a little line with it. So I've decided to zoom in a little bit, and I'm now doing a voiceover because I began to find I couldn't actually paint and talk. This was too fine and too difficult to try and talk. So I'm basically trying to go with the watercolor on top of the acrylic. That's one of the great things about acrylic paint is once it dries, it doesn't deactivate. Once it dries, it doesn't reactivate when it gets wet. So you can use watercolor on top of it, which is really awesome. So I'm trying this pale gold. I'm not 100% sure that I like what this is looking like. I think it might just be too pale. So I'm going to see when it dries what I think, and I'll come back when I've done the other half of this fairy's wing. Okay, so that's finished, and now I'm going to try some of the more gold, not the white gold, to do the dots and see what that looks like, because they're not showing like this. It's a bit too pale. So let's see. I think I'm going to go with the more yellow gold. I love the creamy consistency once it's all activated. I was using the champagne gold. Those are standing out a little bit better. I'm beginning to wonder if I should go over all of the lines with this gold as well. It's very difficult making decisions, isn't it? I think I often hear people when they're colouring saying that they know what they want to do with the page. I very seldom am in that position. I sort of, bit of a pun here, wing it as I go along and see what I think. So I'm really not quite sure. Going to try my liner brush with this champagne gold. Let's see if that looks any better. So you can see why this is not a colour along, because I was really quite scared when Tonja and I discussed this. And then we were discussing which books we had the same of, and this Clara Markova book was one of the few that we had the same books of. And so we decided to go with it. And as I said to her, I'm always terrified of these Clara Markova books because I always feel I'm just not good enough for them. So I'm feeling very brave as I do this. It's very thin brushes, quite difficult to, you've got to be sort of precise, and I'm a little bit shaky, so it's quite hard to go over the lines with it. Will not go out of them. Sometimes my hand just decides to do its own thing and go off at a tangent. So I just wanted to show you the wings of the little fairy. I went over all of the lines with the champagne gold, but then at the end of the day I decided I didn't like that, and I've gone over them all again with the darker yellow gold. But I thought I'd just show you what this looks like, so you can see what you think, and let me know if you think I should have left it. Now I'm going to be using the white gold just to quickly do the white area of the eye of the baby bird, and then we're going to get onto the feathers of the big bird that I want to outline in white. I'm going to use my Uniball Signo gel pen to outline all the black lines of the feathers in the bird. And it's quite a long process, so I'm going to zoom in and show you a bit, and then I'll come back when that is finished. So I have decided that it's actually quite awkward, and I think I'm going to turn my book around to see if I can work upside down and if it will make life easier for me. I find this sort of fine work quite tricky sometimes, and these are quite small little feathers, and I'm basically just going over them. I often find the line work on the colouring pages with the gel pens, I don't know, it's almost as if it repels the ink. I've found the same thing using my Posca. I sometimes use gouache, but these are so fine I didn't think that I would actually be able to paint them with my brush. I thought that my hand would shake too much. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And you can watch just for a few of the little feathers, because I don't think this is particularly entertaining or anything. I think if you've seen how I do one or two, then you know how to do the whole lot. So I'm going to go on to the next thing and show you what this looks like when it's finished. So there you can see the little bird. I'm quite happy with how that turned out, and I think it looks nicer with the white outlining of all of his little feathers. I'm now going to be using a little bit of Stickles. It's just the clear one, and I want to, everywhere that Clara Markova had dots, I'm going to put the shiny stickles down and hopefully allow that to create some magic. So that's quite easy. You just squeeze the bottle and apply the glitter glue. I'm sure most of you have used stickles at some point or other in your colouring life. I think they're so pretty. They always have the most gorgeous shine. I can never get that to show all that well on camera. I'm really not sure why. I try everything. I twiddle my pages and I move them, and it just doesn't seem to show on camera for me. But I love the effect in real life. I think it's very pretty. So I did all of those dots off camera, and now I'm going to use some of the pink stickles for inside the pink areas of the little bluebell flowers, the little hanging bell flowers. We're upside down again. It's just so much easier to reach. So I'm going to do these stickles on all of the pink flowers, and I'll be back when that's done. It's just quite tricky not to get my hand on all of this glitter glue. I should have perhaps started on the left-hand side and then moved to the right. The book's upside down, but my brain is still telling me this is the left-hand side, and it's not really. So, yeah, got myself in a tiny pickle here. I don't know if it helps you to see them now. I've just zoomed in a bit. I've done all of them. And again, with the light shining on them, they twinkle and glitter really nicely. So I'm happy with that. So now what shall we do next? I think I'm going to fill in these little flowers with my pink gel pen and other color gel pens as well. They apply also very nicely on top of the acrylic paint. It's really quite amazing stuff. Especially the matte one, the shiny or the gloss acrylic is not so easy to color or paint or do anything on top of, but this matte one is nice. I'm not so sure about this color that I've chosen, oh dear, but still, as a whole, I hope that will be nice. So I'm going to do some of the other flowers, and I'll be back to show you what they look like once they're done. So as you can see, I've done some of them in silver and some of them in gold as well. I'm fairly happy with that. Again, I'm questioning my choices. I'm thinking I should have used pink pencils, but we'll see when the whole thing's done. So now I'm going to use this Folk Art Extreme Glitter Hologram paint to go over various places. It's got a really nice, it's a transparent glitter acrylic paint, and I'm going to use that to paint over the little fairies' wings to give them some shine, and to go over perhaps a bit of the birdie's wing as well. So it looks like white when you paint it down, but it actually dries transparent, and I really do like it very much. So basically you just paint it on. There's nothing particularly special about that. I'll put on a little bit of music for this while I paint it. And now we come to the final part, and the way I try to create my bokeh effect, I use these little ink stamp pads. They're chalk paint or something. Can't remember what they're called, but any type of little ink pads or whatever, and then I use little circle. I've got thumb daubers, and that's one of my favorite things to use. And then I just basically stamp. So I'm going to do a few in greens and a few in whites, just to get some interest to this background, so it's not just the flat color. And I'm hoping that it looks nice. And it's really such a quick and easy answer to doing this kind of thing. I think it's fairly effective. That one's got a bit of an edge to it, but it's all right. I sometimes, when I've got a larger area, I sometimes use a larger, well, it's not a finger dauber, but a larger kind of dauby thing. I'm just trying to clean this off because I haven't got another one. And then I want to add the white. I actually went to the sink and washed it, so tried to dry it as well. So now I've got some white, and I'm going to go over a few places. I might end up using some white acrylic paint as well, because this is running out a little bit. It also wipes off the wax crayon fairly well, the wax pencil. As you can see, I went over the fairy wing when we were listening to the jazz music. I went over it with the gold again. I didn't see the need to sort of speak about that because I told you previously that I was going to be doing it. So I already think these little circles just add a little bit of interest to the background. I've done this on a number of pages, this little technique. Don't really have another green ink pad. But it works by doing a number of stamps so that the intensity of the paint isn't the same everywhere. And then I kind of think I need some smaller dots as well. Then I bought myself a very small pack of these Sakura dot markers, and there's only this one green in it, so I'm going to try a few of these dots, which are smaller, again just for interest. I sort of had the feeling that I'm trying to create like greenery around them. They're in a forest in the trees somewhere, in their little fairy home with the birdies and the fairies. I wish I could write fairy stories. I do love fairies. It suits my romantic nature. I love the kind of gentle fantasy. I don't enjoy warring fantasy or anything, but I love little fairies and childlike sort of fantasy. So now I'm going to add some of my white acrylic paint to add some more dots and things, and I'll see whether I use what I'm going to use. I think I'm going to try this strange sort of cotton bud because it's got a very soft, bigger top than a normal cotton bud. See how that works. Just for some more dots. It's interesting how when you think you've finished a picture and then you do all these extra little bits, how much time all of the finishing touches take almost as long. One sort of becomes very aware of that when you make videos and you do voiceovers, because you can see just how much time all the finishing touches take. And I mean, I've cut so much of this video. I think this picture took me hours and hours and hours. So now I'm trying a Posca pen out. I just try and, but that I didn't like, that wasn't working so well. So I'm just going to try this very fine brush to cover some more of these lines. They're still showing through even after the paint. So I think it sort of flakes off. So now I'm going to try the acrylic paint on those just to cover them up. All the little bits to neaten it all up and try to get it to look good. This is an awesome brush, actually. I think I'll list it for you below because it's a really useful one to have. It's very, very, very fine. So now we're Speedy Gonzales and we're going to finish all this white double speed, 5 times, 6 times speed, because I thought this is getting a very long video and you don't need to see me going over all these paint lines. Get those done, and then I think our picture's going to be finished. Can't believe it. So now we can just clear all our things away. And ta-da, we have our completed image. And I want to see if I move it a bit, if you can get any of the glitter, but I can't get it to shine all that well on my... When I'm filming, I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong. If you have any hints, do let me know. But there is our page, and I hope that you like it, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching this. And I'm so super excited to see Tonja's page and see what she's done. I'm sure she's made an absolutely gorgeous finished and completed picture. So thank you so much for joining me. Please leave a comment, quickly cleaning something up there with some water. And please leave a comment. If you haven't already, do remember to subscribe and maybe like the video. And as you can see, I can't stop. Always got something extra to add. But I think we are actually done. And thank you so much for watching. I'd like to wish you a wonderful, creative and happy week. See you in the next video. Bye-bye now.